I want to talk about this ridiculous idea that continues to spread of men being paid to pretend to be women and sell women's products. I put up a video. Maybe we can put that video, part of it, in as a part of this discussion when we share the smaller clip. But there is a dude who has been pretending to be a woman for a year. And that dude who is pretending to be a woman for the past year now has Bud Light and Nike endorsements. And both of them are ridiculous. But the Nike endorsement in particular, it strains credulity that we could ever have reached this point where you have a man with a penis and with testicles selling sports bras. He has no breasts. And women's pants, even though there is, as I repeat, a penis and testicles. Women are being so disrespected now that men who are pretending to be women are making millions of dollars to endorse actual products made for women. A sports bra and women's pants. Nike is the latest brand to go full woke here. And when I look at this, some of you will say, well, why in the world would you even mention this? You're just giving these people what they want. You're giving them more attention. I think it's important for you to recognize what is being sold here. This is absurd. And I'm going to make an analogy. Historically, blackface was very offensive. I say historically because in plays back in the day, there used to be white actors who would put on black face paint, and with exaggerated portrayal, they would pretend to be black. And they would then be compensated. Instead of a black actor, they would have a white actor pretending to be black. And it was a very offensive, stereotypical, exaggerated version of being black that was referenced in the blackface portrayal. Tell me how this is not going on today with men who are pretending to be women. To me, this is a clear historical analogy. This is woman face. These are stereotypical, not reflective of real women behavior that is being exaggerated by men in an effort to pretend to be women. And men are being rewarded and compensated for this such that they are getting multi-million-dollar endorsement deals designed to sell products to women, including sports bras and women's pants that a biological man is wearing instead. How is this not woman face? And I'm just going to keep hammering this because I think it's important. The ultimate male white privilege is deciding that you're going to be a woman and everybody just pretends it's true, right? There's this obsession with white male privilege in society today. Oh, you got that job because you're a white man, right? Can't go anywhere without hearing white male privilege. Side note, I've been arguing for years. Somebody, a white rapper, needs to make his stage name white privilege. Just a gift from me. In the same way that I've said, hey, Hollywood, make a Lewis and Clark streaming show. My gift for you, if you are a white rapper, is go by white privilege, call yourself Dub P, all right? And you will dominate. Call your rap name white privilege. I wish I could rap so I could just be white privilege and call myself the Dub P and just make tens of millions of dollars as a rapper. I can't rap, so I can't do it. It's my gift to you, America. Somebody take this, all right? So, white privilege. Everybody's talking about it. White male privilege. Oh, my God, how dare you? Okay, how in the world is it not the ultimate sign of white privilege that you can be a white dude, decide that instead of being a dude, you are a woman, and then you can make millions of dollars and you can lecture everyone that if they don't respect your gender, they are offensive and they should be canceled. The ultimate white privilege, the absolute apex of the white male privilege is actually not anything heterosexual white men do. It's white men who decide that they're women and then get named Woman of the Year and make millions of dollars pretending to be women. It is woman face. It is offensive. It should be unacceptable. It should not be celebrated. And this doesn't happen for men, right? Women who decide to identify as men, you probably can't even name anybody. There's some women who identify as men that were famous as women, and then they became men, but none of them are making millions of dollars. None of them are looked at as apex of masculinity. None of them are being used to sell male products. This only happens for men pretending to be women. The patriarchy has actually taken over women's athletics, women's bras, sports bras, women's pants. Dudes with cock and balls are selling women's athletics. Think about that for a minute. Dudes with cock and balls, no boobs, are being used to celebrate and sell women's athletics. This is woman face. Shouldn't exist. And by the way, it's not just Nike. It's not just Bud Light. I don't know how long this ad has been out, but I saw Jack Daniels, the whiskey, has a ad that at least is circulating on social media with all these trans people talking about how much they love whiskey. And the reason why this one in particular stands out to me is, one, I'm from Tennessee, and Jack Daniels is a Tennessee brand. But a few years ago, and some of you will remember this, Jack Daniels pulled an endorsement contract from me, and I was just going to show up at like a bar and have my picture taken with some new, I think they had like a new whiskey brand that they were coming out with, and I was just going to get my picture taken with it, right? Like hold there with the bottle or something. And it wasn't even very much money. Somebody reached out to me. I think it was like, hey, we'll give you $3,000. This is like probably 4 or 5 years ago. They were like, we'll give you $3,000 if you just show up and pose for a photo with Jack Daniels. And I was like, all right, so you're telling me I can go to a bar and there's a party and I can have some drinks and you'll give me $3,000? And they were like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'll do that. By the way, I wouldn't do that now. I'm rich. Now, if I'm going to show up anywhere, I'm going to get paid a lot of money, or I'm just going to go wherever I want to go, right? Just FYI. So I don't want people being like, I'll give you $3,000. No, my prices have gone up. The Travis appearance train has added some zeros. But at the time, $3,000, whatever. And then, if you remember, Vanderbilt University made the decision to sandblast the word Confederate off of a building that had been built and named Confederate Memorial Hall on the Peabody campus of Vanderbilt University. And they were going to spend over $1 million to sandblast the word Confederate off. I'm going to be honest with you. I went to Vanderbilt. I've got double grad degrees from Vanderbilt. My wife went to Peabody, got a master's degree there. I've walked around the campus a lot. I've never noticed the wording at the top of a building. And my position in general is, it is an awful message to send to remove some sort of historical record. This building's like been up there for like 120 or 130 years. And the fact that you would spend $1 million to sandblast the word off, this is basically what the Taliban does, right? The Taliban did that because they were offended by representations of religious Muslim experience or Buddha or whatever it was. I don't remember the specifics. But the idea of destroying something that offends you is not, in my opinion, a reflection of what America should represent. And I'm writing about this in my new book, which is going to be out in August. In my new book, I actually talk about this in a town that I live in now, Franklin, Tennessee. There was a lot of discussion of, we have to take down this Confederate memorial. And Franklin, Tennessee, for those of you who are Civil War nerds or just history nerds, is on a battlefield. November 30th, 1864, Battle of Franklin was fought. Very famous battle. And so it's not only that that the statue is here, it's that it represents the history of the moment. But you know what they did? They decided to add another statue. So they added a colored soldier statue for people who fought for the North and were from where I live now, Williamson County, Tennessee, former slaves. They added more context, and they put a new statue up for U.S. colored soldiers, right? Black soldiers who fought for the United States. So they did what should happen in history, in my opinion. They added greater context to the historical record without removing what at that time has now been a historic legacy. Make the pie bigger. Don't destroy something historical that you don't decide you like for the present day. So I thought that was a great example. So I basically made that same argument. I said, this is not what a university should be doing. Vanderbilt should own their history, provide greater context if you feel that is necessary, but sandblasting and erasing something and pretending that it was never there defeats the entire purpose of education in general. You need to know all about the past in order to better comprehend where we're going, but also where we've been. And I don't think that's a crazy, irrational perspective to endorse. I got contacted by Jack Daniels after I wrote that piece, and they said, you can no longer show up at our event because your opinion on sandblasting the word Confederate is too offensive to be connected to the Jack Daniels brand. Now, look, it's $3,000, whatever it was. And they even said, if you show up, we will not permit you to enter our event. Think about that. So in the space of a few years, Jack Daniels has gone from you, Clay Travis, can't even have an opinion on whether the word Confederate should be sandblasted off the building unless you endorse that it should be sandblasted off, because then they would have been like, oh, we're very happy to have you. They are so left-wing that if you don't have left-wing opinions, you're not even allowed to be associated with their brand. This is why I want to create my own whiskey, by the way. But that is the truth. And then I see this ad. By the way, Lynchburg, Tennessee, this is where Jack Daniels is from. Who do you think drinks Jack Daniels? Do you think there's a huge trans whiskey drinking community that has felt alienated so far? No. It's primarily dudes who agree with me on these issues. This is a great example of not knowing who your brand is and who supports your brand. So this, I think, is significant because it reflects what is going on, which is the overall silencing of America. And this is why so just kind of giving you a preview, this is why the next iteration of what I'm doing is I'm going to build out a lot of new brands that I own, right? Instead of trying to go out and sell advertising to all these woke brands, like this is like I've got a beer now, right? We've got Gratis. We're going to have a bourbon, a whiskey. We're going to have a coffee. We're going to have a mortgage company. We're going to have all these different brands. I may have a big law firm referral universe. I'm going to own all these different brands. And instead of trying to worry about selling ads to all these woke advertisers, I'm just going to build my own companies. I've already built one company, OutKick, and sold it to Fox. But the next iteration of what I'm going to do is I'm going to own 7, 8, 9, 10 different companies, the goal of which is going to be we're not woke, we support free speech, and I'm going to sell directly to the massive audience that we've created on Clay and Buck and OutKick and the audience that follows me. And that's going to give me, people say, why do you do it? Well, one, it's a good business opportunity, but from a content perspective, the most important part is it keeps me from ever being able to be canceled, right? Because if you're constantly having to sell advertising, then this woke universe out there, they'll come after you, right? At some point. Can't come after the guy who owns his own businesses. People couldn't come after me for what I said on OutKick. This is why people say, how do you have so much freedom to say exactly what you think? Well, because I owned OutKick. Most people are terrified that if they don't do what their employee wants, they're going to lose their jobs. Trust me, I've been there. And so a lot of people are then handcuffed, basically, in the content space for writing, for speaking, for all these things, because they're afraid of what is going to happen if they say something that people decide is offensive. I don't care. First of all, I don't have to work anymore. Secondly, the reason why I've always had freedom, complete, total creative freedom, is because I've owned the means of my own distribution. And so people get angry at me. I don't care. Like, you can agree or disagree with all my opinions. You can argue, you can share them, you can cut and splice them and everything else, and you can attack me like crazy. Just free advertising. Because when you own your own brands, all that does is create greater brand awareness for you. And I think there's a desperate demand out there for anti-woke normalcy, and that is the brand that I'm going to serve across a variety of different platforms.